Well, g'day all. I'm not on a boat. I've got a new project which I've just picked up. Let me give you a little pic or two. It's going to be pretty obvious what it is. Rego number. So this was my grandfather's EH utility, and my brother's had it since my dad died. And it was registered in Tasmania, and now it's been sitting at a farm in Victoria. So she's pretty much all original. Still got 3 on the tree, original upholstery, original floor, original seat underneath this seat cover, in really nice condition. So very, very rare that you find a fully original EH Ute. It's got some surface rust on the paint. My dad painted this in baked enamel, and that was the last time it was painted. So I am not going to repaint this. I am going to use the rusty patina that it's got, and just seal it up with some linseed or something. But it is in fantastic condition, nice and straight. So at the moment I'm attempting to get it started. So I learned to drive in this car. 3 on the tree back in the day when I got my license, and Dad owned it in Canberra. So as you can see, I've got that off there. I did actually get it to fire with a bit of the old start you bastard, but at this point in time I am noting, you can see down here, there's no fuel coming through the fuel filter. The old EHs have a glass sight gauge that you can have a look at, and I did note there was no fuel in there. So what I'm trying to do now is diagnose why it's not getting fuel in. The fuel gauge actually says that it's full. I'll just ask my brother via chat whether he knows whether the fuel gauge actually works or not. So I'm going to go and look for a fuel pump and see if I can find an electric fuel pump if it's got one. Otherwise it'll probably be a mechanical one. I'm not sure where that would be if there is one, but anyway, persevere on, see how we go. Alright, so I'll give it another crack. I seem to have lost spark. A bit of start you bastard in there. Seem to have lost spark to, well, I haven't lost spark, it's not firing. Let's see if we can turn it over. I'll put a bit of fuel in it, see whether the fuel pump will prime. It's not firing like it did before. I checked the points, there's spark to the points. So next job would be to pull out the spark plugs. I'm pretty sure that the fuel pump is not working. I'm assuming it's a mechanical fuel pump. There'll be a diaphragm in this bowl here. So maybe the diaphragm's stuffed. I did put a bit of fuel in it, but we'll see. So let's rip these spark plugs out and give them a bit of a clean and see how we go. I guess one of the issues of working on an old car is that your new fandangled tools don't always do the job. This is a spark plug spanner, and it just doesn't fit inside, so we're going to have to go old school on it. I had to search a bit, but finally found a plug spanner to fit. This is one of the perks you get if you buy your parents' old house and a shed full of shit that he left behind. Rest in peace, Dad. Thanks very much for the tools. This one I think should be, yeah, the right size. So perfect. It's the only one I could find that would fit inside the gap. probably, I'd say, off an old, I'd say chainsaw or something. Alright, well they're looking a bit black and oily, aren't they? Oops, sorry, couldn't say that. A little bit black. We'll give them a clean up. I think I did see a fresh set of plugs somewhere, so I'll try and get that in focus. There we go. Bit black. Probably the gap might be a bit big too. I'll have to check that. Anyway, let's pull the others out and give them a clean up. Alright, I've determined probably the fuel pump's not working. I put some fuel in it, tried to crank it over, and nothing came out. So I'm going to pull that fuel pump off and have a look at the diaphragm, and if need be I'll get another kit for it. Just pulled the horn off. There's some nice engineering going on here. Something that Dad put on years ago. Anyway, onward and upward. I'm going to have to change a few gaskets, I think, on this engine. There was a lot of oil sitting in the where the spark plug holes are, so I'm assuming it's spitting a bit of oil out of that rocket cover gasket, and maybe a bit down here on the side as well. So we'll get on with that. But first things first, I'll find a spanner to fit that fuel line, and undo this fuel line, and then down here, I don't know if you can see that. Oop, the light just went out. Stand by. In here, there's 2 bolts, one on either side. Might be easier to see it that way. Just down the bottom there, one either side to pull it out of the crankcase. Assuming it'll probably leak some oil, so I'll put something underneath that. Alright, just before I pull that fuel pump off, I've given the spark plugs a bit of a clean. And I'm hoping that it might cough again. We'll just give it another crack just before I pull the fuel pump off and expose everything. So we've got the starter battery there in here, and let's see what happens. Oop. Nope. One of the spark plugs, I did test one of the spark plugs, and it did actually fire a bit of a spark. So let's try again. If it just doesn't work, we can yep, nothing. Alright, back to the drawing board. Alright, so I've gone through and cleaned all the plugs, cleaned up the points again, cleaned the distributor. I'm still really not getting that much spark, but we'll give it a little crank. Oh, I've got a battery now, so maybe, you know, a little bit more oomph might give it a bit of a crack. So let's see how we go. Whoa! Hello! There's a bit of life. Giddy up. So we do have spark. Oh! Well, that's much more promising. Okay, so we don't have fuel because the fuel pump's clearly not working. There's no fuel coming out of that open fuel line. So, make a car start, you need spark and fuel. Anyway, we've got some spark, so that's promising. I think what I'll do now is I'll pull that fuel pump out and check the diaphragm, and if that is what the issue is, then I'll go ahead and order a new diaphragm. I think I might actually get a new coil as well. The points look really good. I can have a fiddle around with the leads as well, but we had a bit of a spark, so that's pretty exciting. So let's pull this fuel pump off. All right. So this is 5/8 nuts on here. That looks very loose, so not sure if it's been off before recently. I'm surprised it hasn't been leaking oil. being part of the crankcase, but oh, now I've got my spanner on there. So I'm assuming it may well have been, because I can see both of these clamps were loose, and also the other one was loose as well. So I assume at some point in time she's probably been reconditioned before, but you pull it apart, have a good look at it, and the kit is available for these, and it includes all of the gaskets and the diaphragms that you need to put this back together and recondition it, which I mean, that's really, it's not a bad idea to do it. I get that's the, you know, a failure point that you really don't want. You know, without a fuel pump, as we can see, the car's not going to start. So we'll pull this off, pull it apart, and put it on the bench, and see whether there's any problems with it. Okay, here's our fuel pump. Sorry, you'll have to excuse all the traffic noise. We do live on a busy street. Okay, here's our fuel pump. What I've done is I've put a little file mark here across the flanges so that we know how to put it back together again. I am no expert on this, so you and I will be learning together. But I've pulled fuel pumps apart before for other vehicles and motors and things, so let's give it a crack, eh? Right, removing the float bowl, the sight bowl, and so the way this works is there is a cam inside the crankcase, and basically pushes on this as the cam goes around, and it pumps. Now, if it was working properly, we would probably hear and feel some air coming out of this, but there is no pressure in that at all. So let's pull it apart. Let's see what we can find out. I'm hoping it'll come to pieces nice and easy. I've got myself a nice clean towel because it is a fuel system. We don't want to get too much dirt in it. Probably should have given it a bit of a clean before I pulled it apart, but you know, impatient and stuff. I guess regardless of whether this has got a buggered diaphragm or not, I'm still going to have to get a kit, because you know, once you start pulling these gaskets apart, you're going to end up with broken gaskets, and putting it back together with broken gaskets is not a great idea. The last thing we want is a fuel leak in your car. I also own a 1972 Combi, so you've probably all seen the videos of Combis burning to the ground, because they can get fuel leaks quite easily. So maintenance is the key, and also making sure you have good fire suppression in your car, especially old cars. I suppose when you're working with old cars, you're working with old components. They don't have the safety that the newer cars have. So you know, you get a fuel leak through an old hose, or you know, a bad gasket or something, and you know, when you've got hot exhaust and sparks and all sorts of things, then that's when you can end up with a fire. That made some noise then, didn't it? There you go, something's working. I mean, the cam's working obviously, but whether the diaphragm's actually working or not, we'll soon find out. One more screw to go. exciting as not watching me undo screws. We'll get to the good bit in a second. I can smell the old fuel in here. It's I don't know if you've ever smelt stale fuel before, but it stinks. Right. I'm going to get this apart somehow, which is a fairly solid piece of gasket. I can't get any leverage. There we go. Right. What do we do next? That should separate, I believe. I think it should just pull out. There's not, doesn't seem to be anything holding it. Just looking at that diaphragm in there now, it actually doesn't look too bad. I do not, oh there we go, that's better. Do not want to damage anything in there. So here's the upper part. That would be a little valve of some type there. I'm assuming to stop fuel flowing back in the other way. There's a couple of little valves in there, so I don't think that's our issue. This is your diaphragm here, is actually part of the gasket, so there you go. I'm assuming somehow I can separate this. I'll probably have to pull a pin out in here so that we can get at or remove that the whole assembly. So I'll just have a little search and see what I can find out about how to remove that, and we'll be back. Okay, so in order to get this off, we need to get our screwdriver in here and raise it up. There's a rod inside, which we can't see with the video, and then push it away and the diaphragm comes out. So this, I don't know if you can see that, this little hole in there connects to the push rod that's connected to this cam. Okay, inside there, I don't know how good the light is, but inside there there's a little cam, sorry, a little rod that connects to it, and that's what actuates it. So looking at this diaphragm, it actually doesn't look that bad. Doesn't look like it's got any holes in it, although you can see that, I'm not sure if it shows up on camera, but you can see that there's a few I guess perished bits of rubber in there. So I'm going to replace it anyway. As I said, it comes in a kit. We do have a bit of damage to this cup here, which probably shouldn't make any difference to it, but that is an oil seal, so you don't really want oil getting into your fuel. So we'll replace it all. It needs a good clean out in there. Inside's pretty nasty looking. I don't know that I need to actually pull this apart. I think I might just give it a clean out. Although, now that I look at this, it appears as though that something has come disconnected in there, because when I move the rocker, just try and get some light in there for you, there's no movement inside. So I think what's happened is it's either come disconnected, or there's something that's broken inside there and the rod is no longer connected. I think it is two pieces, and so there's every chance that what's happened is something's broken inside here. So this may mean two things. I either get a new fuel pump if I need one, or if I can get the parts, But the other option is with this car is to manufacture a blanking plate, this shape here, or even just put the fuel pump back on and put an electric fuel pump in. You know, a probably a good alternative to put an electric fuel pump in. Then you don't have to worry about maintaining this one anymore. But we'll see what we can find out once I investigate what's going on. Well, I have learnt a little something. You can see now, I think you can probably see in there that this little arm is up. Okay, and when the arm is up and you actuate it, it actually moves. So I'd say when there's pressure on it from the spring of the diaphragm, it will actually go up and down. It's just when it's at the bottom of its stroke it doesn't. So that's good. I don't have to pull that apart. I am going to order a kit and I'll put this back together, and that will be in the next video. So in the meantime, stay beautiful.